What's up, guys? Scottoria here, and since my last video, I've actually returned to work from paternity leave, and I've had to shave all my lustrous locks, so please be easy on me. Anyway, today's video is a detailed guide on Jun, aka the Immortal Syndicate. Now, this is one of the more confusing mechanics in Path of Exile, especially for newer players. Honestly, it had me confused for the longest time. However, once it clicks, it's incredibly easy, and it's an incredibly invaluable way to generate quite a bit of currency consistently. Now, before I hop straight into it, I've seen quite a bit in the comments recently about doing a detailed guide on Jun, as well as Alva in the Incursion Temple. So here in the next couple days, I'm actually going to be piecing together some information and, do a video on it. So please feel free to, stay tuned for that when it comes out. If you guys have any kind of input, questions, maybe something I might have missed with regards to the Syndicate that you feel as though would be valuable for the community to learn about and understand, please leave a comment down below. Let us know if you have any kind of questions at all. Maybe something is still kind of confusing. Maybe I didn't quite explain something well enough. Feel free to ask. I've also have my social medias at the top, and I'll have the links to them down below in the description. My Discord server is always open. Usually me and the boys hang out in there in the evening times, pretty much every night, just about. You guys are always welcome to hop in there, ask questions, play Path of Exile with us, or just hang out if you need someone to just sit and voice chat with while you're farming maps or whatever. That's always open to everyone. I like hanging out with you guys. So without further ado, let's hop straight into it. Oh, also, if you guys enjoy my content, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. So now let's get into it. So whenever you're coming across your Syndicate board, what is the first thing you want to do? Now, you want to establish what rewards you want. What items do you want to get from it consistently? So that way you can set it up accordingly so you can do that. Now, the best way to go about doing that is I'm actually going to post a link to this in the description down below. This cheat sheet actually came from a Reddit post. I'll have that link down below. So this will actually provide you with what it is that each member gives you in each safe house location. Now, the way I'm setting up my board right now, this is actually not at all set up correctly. I mean, it's almost, it's getting there. But it's not set up. I actually haven't been running a whole lot of Jun recently. I've been doing some kind of experimenting with Harvest. If that experiment works out, we'll do a video on it. Otherwise, I'm not going to get too much into it. So this is actually still a work in progress. I actually want It That Fled and Barichi here in research. Also, my intervention is set up. I do want Chimera and Jorgen here. I'm going to talk a little bit about Jorgen. He's actually not the most valuable. However, like I said before, guys, it's all about personal preference, what it is that you want out of your Syndicate board. Now, I want the Bestiary Scarabs. I run Bestiary quite a bit, and they're actually pretty valuable. Outside of Sulfite, Divination, and Legion Scarabs, they're actually the runner-up when it comes to valuable, items you can get. So I can actually still sell these and make good profit. There's also Hillock, which you can move over here, which we'll talk about here in a second. So anyway, so let's go over this. So why do I want, let's start with intervention, right? So I want Chimera and Jorgen over there. So Chimera gives Sulfite Scarabs. Jorgen gives Bestiary. Now, if we look at PoE Ninja, something I do want to kind of caveat is Winged Scarabs are actually, the superior route when it comes to value and money. However, with all the harvests I've been doing recently, I feel like I've only came across like maybe 2 or 3, harvest crafts to upgrade scarabs, and I've done a lot of harvest. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. It doesn't at all hurt if you want to, set it up to where you're spitting out Relinquery and Divination Scarabs, as those are rewards you can get from having, let's see, Divination, I believe, yeah, Graviticus, and then Relinquery should be right here. So Elrond. So if you do want to put them over there so you can get those scarabs, that way if you get those harvests, you can upgrade them. Like I said, it's not super common. You're only doing one at a time. So that's something to kind of bear in mind. I'm going to let you guys be the judgment call on that. However, why do I have those two? So Graviticus, you absolutely can make some money here. Same avenue of approach as Sulfite. So both of which are 8 chaos. So Graviticus and Chimera are probably going to be, the best route for making money. However, I have it set up where it's Chimera and what's his name, Jorgen. So like I said, it's not too far off. Still 5 chaos, and I also just want the scarabs. So that's how I'm setting it up. This is something you can look at. PoE Ninja, I'm gonna have the link down below to this as well. That way you can kind of see what the most valuable scarabs are at the time. You can manipulate your board accordingly, or maybe there are scarabs that you actively want to use and you actively want to run. So maybe you want more breach scarabs or whatever. You can move him around and put him there. Now let's talk about research. Now these are the only 2 safe houses I care about. We're going to talk, there's one person over here that you can still leverage and get some really good money from. We're going to get that in a second, but for the most part, everyone you don't want, I usually stick them over here in transportation and fortification. So these are the people we're going to talk about when it comes to rewards. Going into research, I want It That Fled, because It That Fled actually offers, where are you? It That Fled, she offers upgraded breach stones. So as long as she's a captain, then she'll go from a normal breach stone, aka a Chayula, because that's going to be the most valuable in the largest profit margin. You take a Chayula breach stone and then you upgrade it to a pure Chayula breach stone. Now I actually don't have PoE trade up right now. I wish I would have, but last I checked, normal breach stones were about 44, 45 chaos, and I believe the pure were about just over an exalt, if not like 120, 130 chaos. So that's massive profits. And if they're in the leader spot, you get double. We're going to talk over that here in a little bit. So they upgrade breach stones from normal straight to pure as long as they're captains. And then Varici actually offers white sockets. So as long as he's a captain, you can get 1 to 3 white sockets on an item. Now that's random, so there's a little bit of a gamble as to how much money you're going to make. But either way, it's still a profit. So let's bring up how you go about making money here. So I'm going to have the link to this Discord server down below. This is the TFT Discord server. And here in services, wanting to buy, this is where you're going to actually find people asking for those crafts. So wanting to buy Varici, white sockets, 50C each. That's a big one. Usually I see it about 30 to 40 chaos each. So what it means by each is whenever they come to your syndicate and you have the Varici workbench at captain, they give you the item, you put it in there, and for each white socket it lands, like I said, it's still a gamble. It's somewhere between 1 and 3. You'll get that much chaos per white socket. So if this dude's offering 150, don't bank on it. Let's say 30. Then if you land all 3, then you're gonna get 90 chaos. And if he's in the leader spot, you'll get double those benches. So that's really, really valuable. Now, something I do want to talk about and something you're going to see here is Hillock. We're going to see armor. I haven't seen the prices quite here. So like weapon goes for an exalt. Let's talk about that, right? This is kind of a caveat, something you could, I wouldn't really super manipulate, but you can absolutely still manipulate. So weapons going for 1 exalt. So where's Hillock, right? So in transportation, I'm probably going to want to move him over here to transportation. So that way, occasionally, once he gets up here to the leader spot, or if he's just at least 3-star, I'm going to have the opportunity to increase the quality of a weapon. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. I'm not going to go super out of my way for it, but that's an extra exalt every time, you happen to come across him. So what are, the reward for each type of, level for these members? I haven't forgotten yet, guys. I'm going to talk about how to arrange your board here in a second. I'm just wanting to talk about the rewards first, and then we're going to get into how to actually arrange your board. So now once someone is a 1-star, I wouldn't even bother. Don't run the save. Honestly, anything other than a 3-star, don't run it. 3-star means they're a captain. See it here at the top right corner of their profile picture. As long as it's 3-star, that's when you run it when they're in the leader spot, especially things like I said with upgrading, breach stones, for example. So if I have It That Fled here, right, and I want to upgrade my breach stone, if I have 1 or 2 stars on her, I'm not going to get a pure. It's going to be like an enriched or something that, nobody wants. So make sure they're at least 3-star because that's how you get the best tier quality. Same go with scarabs, right? So Chimera being 3-star here, I'm going to for sure get gilded sulfite scarabs, and that's the ones we want. Also, once they're in the leadership spot, you're actually going to get double the rewards. So if they're chests, so for, scarabs, those are chests. We'll have 2 chests in the reward room for Chimera. If they're benches, like Varici offers the crafting bench, there'll be 2 benches if he's in a leader spot. Same with It That Fled. There'll be 2 upgrade breach stones. That way you can upgrade 2 Chayulas into 2 pures. That's something I wanted to make sure you guys are aware of. Make sure they're tier 3 or AKA captain. Doesn't matter too much down here. If they're both captain, that is the optimal approach. Make sure Varici's a tier 3 down here. That way you at least get 1 workbench. Make sure he's a tier 3 down here. So that way you at least get 1 chest of gilded. And then absolutely make sure these are tier 3 also. Something to kind of keep in mind before you decide to run any kind of safe house. Now, the meat and potatoes. How do I arrange my board? How do I get people where I need them to be? So whenever you're looking at this board, remember there's always 3 individuals not on your board. everyone who will be on your board is always currently on your board. So you're going to see question marks. What I mean by that is you're going to see question marks all over the place. If you're just now getting into Syndicate, you might see like a question mark up here. You might see a guy down here. Don't worry about the question mark at the top. That's always going to be Mastermind. You don't have to worry about that. Just leave it a question mark. Don't worry about it. Everyone else, you want to make sure they're ID'd. Even if you have everyone like all ID'd and maybe this guy's a question mark and you're like, all right, I don't know who that is. Just keep running maps. All you got to do is just keep running maps with Syndicate on it. You will eventually come across them. You will eventually get their encounter. Now, if they do have a safe house button here, once their safe house is open, you will not get their encounter until this goes away. You guys down below in the comments, let me know. I haven't tested how many maps it is before it goes away. I believe it's 3, maybe 4, but there's a certain number of encounters where this button will eventually go away, and you're going to have to do that until your board's, set up to where you can sustain a little bit. So that's something to bear in mind. Make sure everyone's ID'd. The reason behind that is they lose their affiliation and they could wind up in somewhere where you don't want them to be. Now, if there is someone you do want on your map that isn't, in my case, It That Fled, she's over here, I'm going to have to keep running Syndicate until I get offered for someone to get kicked out of it. So either they're going to request to leave the Syndicate, which it happens, or someone's going to betray them, which we're going to get into, and you'll be offered to kick the other one out. So as soon as you kick someone out, like I said, there's always the same number of people on the map and there's the same number of people out. So as soon as he gets kicked out, someone else is going to come in. Now, I don't believe the person who gets kicked out, I don't believe the same guy can come back in. I've never encountered that happen. However, let me know down below if I'm wrong on that. I've always had someone else that's left out to come in. That way you can kind of cycle between them and get the ones you want. Just kind of keep in mind, like if you're sitting there like, oh man, I've revealed everyone. I don't have who I need. That's how you go about doing it. You just keep interrogating people. You keep dropping their stars. You lower their morale. Eventually they're just going to want to leave. Or like I said, they're going to get betrayed. They're going to get kicked out. So how do I go about that betrayal and, manipulating where people need to be? That has to do with these green and red lines, these yarn that's all over the place. This is actually probably one of the more intimidating factors of the Syndicate that is a little bit overwhelming for a lot of players. So generally speaking, you want everyone to be rivals. Rivals is a superior one. And the reason behind that is whenever you're encountering, a Syndicate member in a map. So let's say we see the convoy in a map, right? That that's transportation. Whenever they pop out and try and assassinate you, that's always intervention, etc. But anyway, whenever you encounter a Syndicate member in a map, they have to at least be 3 of them there in order to upgrade their tier and in order to rank them up to that captain, that 3-star. However, if you only get one person come out and the other one is their rival, i.e., they have that red line, you can still upgrade their rank with only 2 people. That's why it's considered superior in that aspect, as well as it also increases your odds to kick someone out if you in fact need to bring someone in. So if they're trusted, they're more than likely not going to have an opportunity to get kicked out. But if they're rivals, then one can betray the other and get the other one kicked out. So something to kind of keep in mind if you're trying to fast rank your guys to 3, so that way you can run your safe houses a little bit more smoothly. You want them rivals, so that way you require less individuals to be able to rank them up instead of that 3 mark. Because if I were to run a transportation, I could just have Vagan come out, or Vagan and Leo or something like that. So that's, kind of keep in mind. Now, how do I go about getting those? How do I get these lines? How do I get the rivalry? How do I get the trusted, etc.? Honestly, it's repetition, farm and repetition. So as you're running your Syndicate maps, you're going to be offered to either interrogate them, which will bring them down here and they will lose a star. You'll gain quite a bit of intelligence, or you're going to have the option to like execute or bargain with, or etc. Whatever the right side is, you read that and understand what it is that it's going to offer you. And before, I move too far, if you don't like either one of the options, so like, let's say I got Chimera and let's say he was trusted with Vagan or something. I obviously don't want to interrogate him. He's 3-star. He's a captain in the leader chair. I want to run the safe house. But maybe I'm waiting for him to get captain also or something. Anyway, his bargain could be he moves over here, right? I don't want that to happen. I also don't want him to be interrogated. There's a little button down here, down below. I don't know if you guys can really see it from here, right? It'll be like right here. It'll be like a picture of a little guy looking like he's running. You can click that and then nothing will happen. He'll get, not really released, but you'll finish that encounter with that individual, and you don't have to actually choose either one of the buttons. That's important because unfortunately I recently figured that out. I was like, oh, what happens if I don't want either one of these options? One of the boys, like I said, we're in Discord together, and he's like, dude, just hit the little guy running at the bottom. I was like, oh, that is there. Anyway, so that's something I wanted to make sure you guys were aware also, so you don't make the same worry, that same heart drop as I had. But anyway, so as you're running maps, as you're encountering these people, you're gonna get offered those two. Generally speaking, if you have everyone aligned somewhere, then if they drop below, if they run out of stars, every time you interrogate them, they lose a star. So if they run out of stars, they'll become unaffiliated with the faction that they're with the safe house they're attached to. So that's something to be very, very cognizant of. So if I don't want Haku to leave transportation, then I'm not going to keep interrogating him, because he's going to lose transportation, and he could end up coming over here or being asked, requesting to go over here when I want him to get back over here, which will be a real pain. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. If they're like a tier 2, tier 3, absolutely, you can interrogate them, do whatever you want with them. Obviously you kind of want to keep ranking these guys up, but that's something I want to put out there. Since you actually want everyone to be affiliated with something, if you have an individual like John is here, right, you can see here at the top left corner, he has the little emblem for fortification. That means he's he's aligned with, he's a part of the fortification faction or safe house. If he has nothing there, that means he's not affiliated. So if I were to run a safe house, so if I ran this, and if I have individuals down here, maybe they're question marks or someone who doesn't have an affiliation, they can go into a safe house that I don't want them to be. And now I got to figure out a way how to get them out of there and put them somewhere else. So that's why you want everyone to be affiliated with a faction before you start running these. So as you're running them, you're going to get that interrogation option. You're also going to get, a bargain or execute. And this will allow you to every now and then request to be trusted or rivals with someone else. That's how you go about getting those, yarn lines and green and red and all that stuff. That's how you start linking them, right? So every time you get the opportunity to make a rival, you absolutely want to do that, unless it messes up your tree somehow. Maybe a caveat to that is, like, maybe Varichi moves over here and Haku moves over here, and then they become rivals. I mean, I wouldn't take that deal. However, a lot of times trusted will turn into rivals. So you can have them trusted, and then eventually you're going to get into an encounter where one's going to betray the other, and then they become rivals. And that's where you kind of take advantage of that. That's how you actually get those strings. That's how you build those relationships. And those strings will also allow you to help move people around. So another effective means, outside of just coming across Riker in a map and interrogating him, once I interrogate him, Varichi moves up and I can, more easily get rid of Riker. But another way to do that is through those relationships. So if I had Riker as trusted with, I don't know, Guff, right? Whenever I run a fortification in a map, I could have Riker, accompany Guff and have the opportunity for Riker to be moved over to fortification. That's also, another avenue of approach for leveraging, these confusing lines that are just all over the place. Now, once I have that all established, let's talk about how we're going to leverage our four, that we want to continually get money from. So as we want these, like I already talked about how we want these to be captain rank, and then obviously the leader spot, we're going to get the most juice. But once these are 3 stars and you run their safe house, one's going to go to interrogation, one's going to move up. They'll still be affiliated, especially since they still have their stars or captains. They'll move back up here, and you just cycle. You just keep cycling. So I'm going to run Chimera. He's going to go down here. Jorgen's going to move up. And then, the next safe house I do will be for Jorgen. And then Chimera, they're just going to keep going back and forth, back and forth. So I'll have my breach stones, and I'll get offered white sockets, breach stones, white sockets, etc. And then since there's the only 2 there, those are the only 2 I'm going to be getting. That's why you move everyone you don't want over to the left side of the map, and you're good to go. So when it comes to Mastermind, honestly, you guys are going to have to, correct me if I'm wrong down below, because whenever I have my syndicate set up how I want it, I don't ever even bother with the Mastermind. I don't want to mess anything up. I don't even run it. However, from my understanding, whenever you run the syndicate, you lose all your leader spots. They all go down. I believe it resets your syndicate board. I believe it resets everything. So let me know if I'm wrong on that. That's why you don't even bother messing with Mastermind. But guys, read the comments. Maybe someone says otherwise, and we can test it out. But that's all I really have. It's super simple. Honestly, when it comes down to it, repetitive farming maps until you get it set up. Read what everyone has to offer, some key notes that you want to take away. Hit that Fled, Barichi, Chimera, and in this league, if you're more focused on money, Graviticus. If you like Bestiary and you want 5 chaos versus 8 chaos per scarab, Jorgen. Those are the names you want to really keep in mind. And like I said, Hillock over in transportation gets you that 1x craft. So I'm actually going to move him over here. So that way occasionally he'll get up here to leader spot, or honestly even just 3-star and run the safe house. I get it. But those are the key names here. Move everyone to the left. Names you want to the right. Make sure everyone is affiliated. And that's it. Read what each one has to offer whenever you encounter them. And if it's something you don't want, hit the little guy. Appreciate you guys for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. If you do like it, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button down below. And I'll see you guys again very soon.